Desert Flower Guyana is transforming the way young people and families experience mental health support in Guyana. Founded by public health advocate and mental well-being specialist Cilandell Glen, the organization focuses on building resilience, expanding access to care, and creating safe, supportive spaces for children and adolescents. Through community programs, advocacy, and education, Desert Flower Guyana is tackling stigma and equipping families with the tools to navigate mental health challenges. This week on Sources, Cilandell Glen joins us to share the mission behind this work and the impact it's having across Guyana. Welcome to Sources. I'm your host, Svetlana Marshall. Tonight we'll be continuing that discussion on mental health. And to do so with me, I have in studio Cilandell Glen, the founder of Desert Flower. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Glen. She's a passionate public health advocate, researcher, and social impact leader dedicated to strengthening adolescent health. She also heads the Adolescent Health Unit at the Ministry of Health. Congratulations on all your achievements and welcome again to Sources.
Thank you very much, Svetlana, for having me on the program.
Tell me a little bit about the name Desert Flower.
So Desert Flower Guyana, it's a social impact organization, as you mentioned before. And the name was actually inspired by a friend of mine. During my adolescent years, as adolescents, you usually face a lot of challenges. And she once said to me that, you remind me of a desert flower. And then I said, like, what is a desert flower? And she explained that, a desert flower is that flower that grows within the desert. No matter the challenges that flower might experience, it still bloom bright and colorful. So when I decided to start the organization and looking at mental health, working with adolescents, I decided what better name than Desert Flower. No matter what an adolescent is going through, no matter your mental health challenges, you can still come out blooming bright and colorful and radiant.
All right, so tell me about the gaps that existed at the time you launched Desert Flower. What were some of the issues you were seeing that led you to create this organization?
All right, so I was inspired to launch Desert Flower for mainly 3 reasons. One, I was in the process of applying for my Chevening scholarship. And when I would have gone through the application questions, you really had to talk about what are some of the things you want to do over the next 5 years. And because I was applying to study child and adolescent mental health, I looked at the gap and I said I want to really create that impact when it comes to mental health with children and adolescents. And secondly, because we know that adolescents don't really talk about their mental health issues, they don't have that safe space. So I wanted to provide that safe space where adolescents can express themselves. And the final and most important reason is because somebody very close to me was actually affected by mental health issue. And at that time, we weren't really finding the services that are adolescent friendly or youth friendly to help that person that was going through that issue. So I really wanted to create that safe space and create that impact. So one is because of my scholarship, and I'm happy to report that I would have received that scholarship in 2018 as a result of writing a very powerful essay and writing about my goals.
Congratulations. Now, let's talk about those services that you said were lacking that you're now offering through your organization.
Mm-hmm. So some of the services we're offering, one is referral for adolescents. We really connect adolescents to mental health resources out there, whether it's resources through the government of Guyana or whether it's resources privately. We provide a lot of empowerment workshops and skill sessions for our adolescents where we're able to provide them with those coping tools that are necessary to become resilient, where they're able to manage their mental issues or stressors if they're facing, and where they're able to really develop and become the best version of themselves. So through those workshops, we offer workshops such as art therapy. We would have conducted art therapy workshops in Linden with the American Hostel, with various secondary schools. So we provide adolescents the opportunity to express. It's called expression through art. So we provide adolescents with the opportunity to express what they're going through, and not only to just sit and not talk about it. We want them to see them. We want to see them draw. We want to see them be creative, paint, and so forth. We also offer outreaches, mental health promotion outreaches, and through these outreaches, we started various organizations. We target schools, we target churches, youth groups, any organizations that are willing to learn about mental health, not only mental health when it comes to adolescents, but also with adults, where we provide services to parents, where we can help them to understand mental health challenges that their adolescents might face.
Okay. And is it central? Is it located primarily in the city? And do you look to branch out?
We don't only do work in Georgetown. We would have completed work in Region 3. We would have completed work in Linden. Actually, our first Expression Through Arts was hosted in Linden. We would have completed work in Berbice. And we're hoping over the next coming months and next year to expand within the interior locations, because we would have find that, a lot of adolescents within those remote areas also have issues when it comes to mental health, and they have various challenges, and they can benefit from our services.
Okay, so you're looking to establish like hubs in the various regions. That's what you say?
We would work on establishing hubs, but for now we're looking at expanding through having mental health advocates or mental health peer support. So we will train persons within those regions to conduct sessions and interact with persons within the various communities.
Okay, if I would like to be a part of the organization and to be a mental health advocate, how do I go about that? What training I would have to undergo, and who do I contact?
Well, once you're passionate about creating change within your community, you can reach out to us on Facebook. We have a very active social media presence. You can reach out to us on Facebook via Desert Flower Guyana. We're on Instagram because we know that young people like to be on the social media platform. So we're on Instagram also as Desert Flower Guyana. We're on TikTok, which is now trending. And we're using TikTok to really create that positive message. Or you can drop us an email at desertflowerguyana@gmail.com.
Now let's talk about some of the pressing mental health issues that are facing our youths today.
So some of the issues that we would have found whilst working with our young people, one is anxiety disorder. We have depression, and recently we've seen a lot of grief and loss, because our adolescents are experiencing a lot of loss within their circles, within their family, within their friends, within their peers, and not only persons that they know, but persons from society. Just looking at the news, at a news article or a news report, you might see a 10-year-old that would have committed suicide or died by suicide rather. You would have seen a 10-year-old or a 17-year-old involved in an accident and they would have died. So we would have recognized that our young people need these coping mechanisms to help them to understand what is grief, how to deal with loss. So those are some of the things that we're also addressing. We work a lot with children that are diagnosed with anxiety disorder, depression, and we try to equip them with the tools and skills needed to cope.
Is that through counseling and therapy?
Yes, that is through counseling, whether it's through art therapy, whether it's through music therapy, or counseling, psychosocial support and counseling.
How is stigma affecting what you do, and whether people get access or decide whether or not they will access the services being provided?
Well, stigma is something that I don't think we can ever get rid of, but we're working very hard to remove stigma from society. And regardless, not only when it comes to mental health, but when it comes to mental health services and accessing services, because in the past, mental health was seen as something that is taboo, that if you have a mental issue, you might be mad. And because of the stigma associated with it, because of the name that was given to mental issues, persons refuse to access service. Persons refuse to speak to a specialist because they don't want to be labeled as being mad. When it comes to adolescents, some parents, because of the stigma attached to it, they associate mental health issues with bad behavior. So they will not come forward and get that help needed for their adolescents. And what that actually do is that it delay the treatment process. It delay your child or that adolescent from getting help. It even delay you as an individual, if you're an adult, from getting the help that you need. So one of the things that we're actively doing at Desert Flower, we do a lot of mental health promotion. We speak a lot about stigma, And one of our primary goals is to actually break down stigma associated with mental health issues so that persons can receive, one, the treatment that they need and the care, and that they're able to manage their mental health and well-being.
You spoke about how parents view mental health and the issues stemming from that, and
Yeah.
the import and how they view therapy and counseling. What more could families do to ensure that they provide adolescents with the support and the services they need?
That they need. One, families can provide that safe space. Provide that space where you allow your children to talk freely about what they're experiencing. We need to remove the notion that children or adolescents don't suffer from mental issues or that they don't have stressors. Going to school for some children is a stressor because they might be exposed to bullying within their school. They might be exposed to bullying within their communities that they're coming from. So those are stressors. So provide that safe space where your child can come, sit with you and talk about what they're going through. Be that support system. And when I say support system, I mean understand really what is mental health and well-being. Understand the different types of mental issues that a child might face, an adolescent might face. Understand where to get help, how to get that help, and provide that support to your child. Be non-judgmental. Most of the times as parents, we tend to judge, right? And we need to remove that. We need to understand that my child might be going through something. Let me get that help. Don't let me just say he or she is bad or they're just acting up. Be non-judgmental and get the help that your child will need.
Now, you've worked with many adolescents, I assume.
Yes.
Share with me a success story as to how counseling and therapy help children, improve their mental health and well-being.
But over the years, with the existence of Desert Flower and even within my professional job at the Ministry of Health, we would have had a lot of testimonies where children would have came back to us and said to us, Miss Cindy, I would have really liked that art therapy session because of just being a part of expression through arts. I now have this outlet where I can really talk about how I feel. The other things we do is that we teach children a lot how to journal, how to talk about their feelings, and we would have had feedback from children where they're journaling more constantly. They're utilizing that as a coping mechanism. And one of the things, or one of our main projects at Desert Flower Guyana, is our Glow from Mental Health Out of the Shadows Awareness Walk. And that walk was concluded on the 11th of October. And I can remember when we would have stopped at one particular spot just to, talk about mental health. We had a young lady that came up and she literally said, because of being a part of the Glow Walk, because of looking at sessions that Desert Flower would have hosted, she was at a point where she wanted to commit suicide just a week before that walk. And because of seeing that walk advertising on Facebook, our entire view would have changed. And she testified at that walk that because of activities like the Glow Walk, she's here today or on that day, and she's still here. So we have a lot of positive feedback, and what I really want persons to know is that mental health is real. And we really need to start focusing and zooming in on mental health issues so that we can really create that change that we want to see.
How what is Desert Flower doing integrates with the overall programs and policies of the Ministry of Health? How do you ensure that you're aligned with the national agenda to reach as many children as possible?
So all of our work, I can safely say, is aligned not only with policies of the Government of Guyana Ministry of Health, but also with the SDG goals that focus on health and well-being, that focus on mental health. And one of the things that we do is try to complement the work that the Ministry of Health is doing. So even if you look at our Facebook page, you will see that we promote the 915 safe space hotline. We also refer persons to the mental health unit for counseling and support. We look at what the ministry is doing and really try to complement it. We're not here to compete with any other organization or the ministry, but we're here to build, because we can't work in isolation. We have to work together in order to achieve that overall goal of having a healthy Guyana, and a mentally healthy Guyana, if I must say. So we would look at the adolescent health documents that they have. We look at various strategy that they have, the Health Vision 2020, and we try our best to design programs that are in line with the policy of the ministry, that are in line with the policies according to WHO and PAO, and also the SDG goals.
Okay, now you would have contributed to a major national assessment, and I should say assessments, because it's a continuous process, and the ministry and the government and the organizations continue to build upon existing systems and policies. Tell me a bit about some of the assessments done and how what you do at Desert Flower is helping to address overall the issues identified.
All right, so some of the assessments that would have done from the standpoint of the Ministry of Health, we would have done an assessment on adolescent health, an assessment on adolescent pregnancy, and recently an assessment on adolescent mental health in Guyana. And that was a collaborated effort with the Ministry of Health, PAO, WHO, and UNICEF. So some of our plans as Desert Flower Guyana is to really look at what that assessment is saying, and those assessments point out things, again, like some of the common mental issues that affect children and adolescents, being anxiety disorder, depression. We see that there's a lack of adolescent-friendly mental health spaces coming out of those assessments. So our plans are to partner with the ministry and those other partners to really provide safe spaces for adolescents. Those work has been started in Guyana, so what we will do is just complement. If I can say, one of the projects that we would have done collaboratively, not coming out of the assessment, but even before the assessment, was creating the Let's Start Green Benches in secondary
that.
schools.
Yes.
Yes, and that project was done in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, PAO, and UNICEF. And now that we would have completed that assessment, we're seeing that we need more safe spaces. So this is to show that the work has commenced and we will continue. So we're hoping to expand that Let's Start Green Benches in other schools across the countries, and even placing them in spaces like the national park, gardens, along Main Street, so that persons can generally have a space where they can just go sit, interact, and just relax.
Okay. Now, I should have asked from the inception, what does mental health, in particular, a good mental health and maybe a poor mental health look like? I should have asked that from the inception, and I'm going to ask that now, because sometimes people associate mental health only, like you said, as back in the days, they say, oh, the person's mad,
yeah.
right? Or persons self-harm, those who want to harm themselves. But I'm sure there's much, much more to that. So if you could tell me what good mental health look like, health and well-being, and what maybe somebody's poor mental health may look like.
So first, we must understand that everybody have mental health. You have mental health, I have mental health, everybody have mental health. But what everybody do not have is a mental illness. So there is a difference. In order for us to function in society, in order for us to contribute to society, you must have mental health. Once you can't contribute, or once you can't function effectively, once you find that things are affecting you, then we would say that you are developing a mental issue. But in order for you to be diagnosed with a mental issue, you must go through a screening criteria. So we just can't say because you're not functioning, because you're not coping, you have a mental issue. We look for different things. So we really look at it across a continuum. And I'm sorry that I don't have the diagram to show the public, but picture a thermometer where you're moving from cold to hot, where the red is hot and the bottom of the thermometer, that could be could be cold, right? So you can move along that continuum, you can fluctuate. So you become at a point where you can cope. You might be experiencing something in life and you're able to cope. And then you might move up that thermometer and you get to that point where is that hot point where you're not able to cope. Once you're not able to cope, once you're not able to function, once you're having signs and symptoms for more than two weeks or more, then is when you're diagnosed with a mental issue. But once you receive the right coping skills, once you receive counseling, you can move from that hot spot right back down to the bottom of that thermometer, where you're able to cope, where you're able to function.
Is it challenging as a non-profit organization tackling mental health issues? What are some of the challenges you face?
For us, I would say one of the challenges right now is funding, because we are a I wouldn't say new, but relatively new. We're operating for about 4 years. So funding is one of the main challenge, but we're overcoming that because as we put our work out there, as we talk about what we're doing on social media, as we do media prints like these, other persons are learning about the organization and they're reaching out to us for fund to provide funding. I would say that that is one of the main challenges right now. We have a lot of persons that reach out to us to volunteer, so I will not say that volunteer is an issue or a challenge, but we are working on ensuring that we apply for more grants, ensure that we have more funding so we could expand and reach the wider cross section of Guyana.
What does the future of Desert Flower looks like? I know earlier you spoke about having the advocates in the various regions, but what else?
We really want to expand all of our programs at Desert Flow. We want to expand our life skills and empowerment program. We want to start in May of next year. We're looking at starting a glow camp. We're trying to keep that glow theme. So we're trying to do a glow camp for adolescents within Region 1 and also adolescents within Region 6. When we really want to become a household name, we really want to become an entity and an organization where persons can access resources, where they can be referred to resources, where they can get the help that they need, and where they can be empowered to create that change when it comes to mental health.
Okay. All right. And what's next for you as a person and individual?
Oh, I have so much plans. I'm planning on continuing my studies. I will definitely like to start a PhD in the near future so that I can continue to build my capacity and continue to serve the people of Guyana.
Okay, congratulations on all that you have accomplished thus far, and keep up the good work. I spoke to my colleague Rihanna. I'm sure she's watching this program,
Yes.
and she said, you know what? Miss Glenn is doing such an exceptional job. She would have featured you extensively in the
Yes, she
newspaper.
did.
And so I want to say congratulations and continue the good work. Definitely we need more and more people working with our adolescents, working with our young people, providing key mental health services to them so that they could be function more effectively in society and cope. It's important for us to learn coping mechanism
It is.
and to openly express ourselves. You know, sometimes we tell children, shut up.
Yes,
You
and we
know,
need to
right?
stop that.
And we need to definitely stop that. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Sources. Please, if you have not checked out Desert Flower on Facebook,
Instagram.
and Instagram, all the other social media platforms, please do so. All the best. And with that, good night.
Thank you.